welcome back to my channel. Excuse the kind of casual look. I suppose all my videos actually tend to be quite casual, but yeah, I've just come back in from the gym and decided literally just a couple of minutes ago to film this impromptu YouTube video all about exercise and HA recovery, as you probably gathered from the title. So I have done a video before on how I kept exercise in while recovering from HA, which I'll link below and here, which was a lot more focused on how I changed my training program, which I might touch a little bit on in this video as well. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about mindset and exercise. So I think that's mindset, I think, is one of the hardest things to change during HA recovery and to maintain through HA recovery and after HA recovery. I think if you can change your mindset in terms of the mindset that almost caused some of the HA, so the mindset that was fueling the over-exercising, the under-eating, and the reasons why you were doing those things, obviously that is often related to beliefs we have about ourselves, beliefs we have about our body, how we feel within ourselves, how we see exercise, how we see food. If you can change those things, then you should never get back to a place where HA, so hypothalamic amenorrhea, loss for a period, is a factor in your life again, necessarily. There might be blips along the way, and there might be times when that mindset can slip back into old habits, but ultimately what you want to do is work on the mindset side of things enough that actually going forward that shouldn't really impact on you in the future. And that's what I tried to do during HA recovery, and I'm almost a year now post my first period after HA, and I would say the mindset shift has been the biggest difference and the biggest change for me, particularly with food and exercise. So before I start delving in a little bit more on the mindset side of things, I just wanted to obviously say that I'm not a health professional in this area, I'm not a PT, and I'm purely just sharing some of the things that helped me in the hope that it might help a few you guys. And I know a lot of you, particularly who follow me on YouTube, also have a really big passion for fitness and exercise and really want to try and keep that in while also trying to regain your period back. And I get a lot of questions on exercise, on what I did and how I did it and how I changed my mindset to go into the gym to not necessarily be pushing in the way I normally would. So it was those kind of things I just wanted to touch on briefly in this probably fairly short video today, but hopefully it'll be useful. So one of the first things I did when I decided that I was kind of going to go all in, I suppose all in a loose sense, because I didn't completely cut out exercise, which ultimately the all in process would involve cutting out all exercise. But I did go all in terms of the amount of calories I was eating and going to 2,500 plus calories, which actually was the easy part for me. I think probably one of the biggest factors for me in having HA was more over-exercising and not eating enough for the exercise I was doing, but it was more that than over-restriction of food or disordered eating habits. So I still at the time felt like I was eating a lot, so I wasn't purposely trying to restrict. I felt like I was eating a lot, but it just wasn't enough for the amount of exercise I was doing. And I was pretty much exercising 6 days a week generally, but there were times when I would be doing 10, 11 gym sessions in 11 days in a row, which obviously just is not good for your body whatsoever. Your body needs to recover, it needs rest. I was doing all the things that I shouldn't be doing for the goal that I was actually wanting to achieve. So I was wanting to be stronger, I was wanting to build muscle, I was wanting to be fitter. And yes, obviously there's an element of me that was very fit, but actually I wasn't building a lot of muscle, and my strength really plateaued because I wasn't fueling my body enough and I wasn't giving it the rest and the recovery that it actually needs to build that muscle. And funnily enough now, so I'm probably going to dart all over the place with this story, but funnily enough now, so like I say, nearly a year post-recovery, now my hormones are where they should be and I'm fueling my body the way I should be. I'm building muscle much easier than I ever did when I actually had what you would class as kind of your newbie gains. When I just started strength training, I can actually see a much greater difference now because I've got everything in check and my body is in a better place to be able to build muscle. So going back, so what I did when I first decided that I was going to go all in was I almost created like a bit of a spider diagram. So I'd written exercise in the middle or the gym, something along those lines. And then what I did was I plotted around it all the reasons why I go to the gym. So why I generally go to the gym, why I love it, what my goals are, the purpose, how I feel after the gym. And I just kind of plotted a few things. So it would just be words like to build strength, the feeling after going to the gym, the feeling of moving my body, the feeling of achieving something, the feeling of progression, the almost just that time, that me time. It was my self-care. It was time where I really went in and had an hour to focus on just myself, so in quite a selfish way, and completely get lost in something that was just for me. And that feeling of that progression and the changes that I could see in terms of strength, sometimes body composition, was really empowering. And again, another word, empowering. I wrote down all these things, and at the end of it, I kind of came to the conclusion of actually what are the main reasons I go to the gym, and how can I still fulfill those main reasons, but while reducing the intensity and reducing the stress and the demands on my body during HA recovery. And from that, I was still able to set myself a bit of a structured plan that enabled me to feel all of those things, but in a very different way. So a lot of this was removing some of the big, heavy compound lifts, so things like your squats, your deadlifts, your bench press, because I knew that I was going to struggle to probably go and do them in a bit of a half-assed way, because those were the exercises I was so used to really want to progress with, really want to build strength with. And I'd been previously constantly focused on putting more and more weight on the bar. So I cut out a lot of the big compound lifts, particularly in barbell form, and completely switched up my training program. So I was no longer doing what would be classed as a bit more of a bodybuilding, strength training kind of program. And I switched it to more of a calisthenics, body movement focused program. But through doing this, I also was able to set myself new goals. So some of the things, like I've mentioned, that I loved from the gym previously was having goals to work towards, being able to see that progression, feel like I was going in and I was achieving something within that 45 minutes, hour in the gym. And through really switching my program up, yes, there was a part of me that was slightly worried that I would lose muscle, I would lose strength by doing this. But I also knew if I kind of continued with the same sort of program I was doing, I would find it really hard to pull back in those sessions. So I started setting myself goals on things like handstands, headstands, some press-ups, kettlebell movements, so just things like kettlebell swings I was doing a lot of, even things like pistol squats. So lots of body weight based movements that were more about flexibility, technique and skill based rather than strength based necessarily with weight, but my own body strength. And through setting those separate goals, I still had something to go into the gym and work towards and still really enjoy those sessions. So I would probably tend to have about half of the session being body weight only exercises that were focused on developing a skill. And then I would do the other half that would be more weights, but quite different exercises to what I probably previously would have done. So like I was saying, with kettlebells, dumbbells, and I would limit what I was doing in the gym to about 45 minutes, and I would probably only do about 6 exercises max. But I would really focus on each of those exercises, but I did it at a much lower intensity to what I was doing. So for me to, do 5, 10 handstands against a wall was a lot less intense and a lot less stress on my body than trying to squat 70 kg. Through completely switching what I was doing, I slowly actually also switched my mindset. Because I wasn't going in and just doing those heavy kind of base lifts, I found it actually really enjoyable and really good fun to go into the gym with probably less of a purpose, but still the one that was there. And actually I was learning new skills. I'd been squatting for years and years and knew how to squat under a bar most of the time. But, I had never tried to really perfect technique with handstands and headstands, and this was all kind of new, fun and challenging. And actually I developed like a newfound respect for what my body could do and what it couldn't and what I wanted to work on. And through doing that, I completely shifted the focus away from strength, away from aesthetics, because obviously with muscle building, bodybuilding, you expect to see a lot more changes in the mirror. You look for changes in the mirror. At the time I did have visible abs. I would check for that completely. I was there. I was at that point where I was doing ab checks. I mean, come on. That is just, I wouldn't even think about that. But then that was a thing for me. And when you're training in the gym is very much geared towards a body composition goal, it does impact how you see yourself and how you see the training. Over the course of 3 months, I was mainly sticking to this kind of calisthenics, some weighted exercises, but a lot lighter weights and a lot more simpler exercises. I stuck to that for probably about 3 months. Then I got my period back. I kept it the same for about another 3 months. So 6 months in total, I was following this calisthenics-based program. During that time, I actually didn't really lose a lot of strength or a lot of muscle. Because I was eating quite a lot of calories, my protein was quite high, so I was still maintaining a lot of the muscle that I had. I was still going in there and working muscles, just in a different way. So actually, I didn't, like I said, I probably lost some strength and muscle, but not a lot. And it wasn't until I'd got 3 periods that I then gradually went back to, I guess, a bit more of my old school bodybuilding, strength training kind of program, because I do love that style of training. But I still kept in some of the calisthenics, and I just gradually built the intensity back over time. So although I've gone back to that kind of program that I was doing before, I do see it in a very different way. And I couldn't imagine myself going back to the point where I'm over-exercising and under-fueling, because now for me, I see calories as fuel for the gym. I see it as, I was almost like, how many calories can I get in around a workout? Because I want to have the most energy I can possibly have going into that workout. Not, I'll train fasted because actually that's what I saw someone else do on Instagram. And that's probably what I should do. And that'll help me be leaner, or that'll help me maintain visible abs. It's completely different now. And I'm excited really for training, and I've always been excited for training, but I'm excited for training and where I can progress it to with this very different mindset that I've got now as opposed to the mindset I had then. And I'm not saying it's easy to step away from what you love. It isn't easy, and I'm not saying you necessarily have to completely change your program, but for me, that really helped to completely switch focus. And I've learned so much about my body and what it responds to since that time. I now do 5 weight sessions a week max. I was doing 4 for a long time, and I've only just recently increased it to 5. And that seems to be like a good spot for my body. My body can handle that. I'm getting 2 full days of recovery and rest. If I want a day off, an extra day off, I'll just go to the gym 4 days a week. I take a deload week at least every 6 weeks. So I've just really learned the point at which my body is thinking, right, we need a bit of a rest now. Actually, this week, I only fancy 4 gym sessions. And the fact that I can do that now and not feel guilty for it and not just push myself and go regardless is because of all that work that I did during HA recovery. So it's because of the pulling back, the changing the program, the focusing on the mindset, the focus being shifted away from body composition And I have gone through a recent period of losing a tiny bit of weight, but that was for very different reasons. That was to go back into a muscle building phase. It wasn't necessarily about how I looked or me being comfortable with the weight gain. It was just to put my body into a more optimal position to gain more muscle. And that's what I'm excited about now. And that was probably just one big ramble, to be honest. And this is why you maybe shouldn't do impromptu videos. But I just wanted to share that with you, and hopefully you can take something useful away from that video. I'll do my best to kind of keep bringing more HA videos, but I have covered quite a bit. So like I've said in previous ones, just let me know below if there's anything in particular. And yeah, I will catch you in the next one, hopefully soon.